One. Hey, college wrestling fans, this is Johnny Thompson, number one. Gonna have a really fun episode today. Just gonna have a good time. We have a special guest on today, Aaron Swayze, the Swayze in the college wrestling community. You can find him on Facebook. You can find him on Twitter. And I don't say this about too many people, but he's one of the only people I'll say is probably as knowledgeable and as passionate of a wrestling fan as I am. This guy follows everything the same way I do: NJCAA, women's, NAIA, D3, D2, D1. He even goes a step further than I do. He follows the National Collegiate Wrestling Association. He also follows the California Community College Athletic Association. We're talking probably college wrestling's number one fan, and I won't put too many people ahead of myself, but this is one of the guys I will. Please welcome to the show, the Swayze, Aaron Swayze.
Oh man, awesome. Thank you for having me on. This is going to be a fun topic, so I'll let you take it away and introduce what we're doing.
All right, guys. So what we're doing today is we've seen a lot of great growth in NAIA wrestling, and we know we can see even more. We want to see more of these NAIA schools pick up the sport of wrestling for both men and women. And we both decided to pick out 7 programs that we would like to see wrestling at. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit here. So my first pick where I would like to see wrestling at an NAIA school would be any of the HBCUs, historically black college universities. We need wrestling in those schools right now. We have very, 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 very few. Even over the history, if you look at the teams that have discontinued and dropped, we never even had that many to begin with. And in the NAIA, there's an actual conference for HBCUs. So I would like to see any of those schools. We got 2 schools in Louisiana with Dillard and Southern University, New Orleans and Texas. You got Fix. Excuse me. In Tennessee, you have Fix, and then in Texas, you have Wiley and Paul Quinn, Houston Flotsam, which actually years ago they were thinking about adding a wrestling program. They even came on and said they were going to add it. They got 3 more in Alabama, 1 in Arkansas, 1 in the Virgin Islands. Wouldn't that be cool to have a wrestling team in the Virgin Islands? They also got
Absolutely.
1 in South Carolina and 1 in Ohio. And the area that I'm most excited about, that I really, really want to see college wrestling in, I'm sure that Aaron agrees with me on this, Mississippi. And in that
Hmm.
conference, you have Rust as long as Tugelo. And I think both of those would be great additions to the NAIA. And I don't know how Aaron feels, but personally, I feel that when we finally do see collegiate wrestling in Mississippi for the first time, and I know Mississippi State has the NCAA program, um, and when we see wrestling back in Louisiana, which I think we haven't seen wrestling in Louisiana since 1986, so holy cow, 39 years ago, I think they'll both be in NAIA programs. So that's my first pick for my first pick where I'd like to see NAIA wrestling.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that Mississippi pick. I was coaching collegiately when Arkansas was very fresh on the scene with high school, and now you look at what they've got with D1 Little Rock and several other programs. I'm going to kind of take a page from your book and cheat a little bit. I'm going to go with any school that has a dual affiliation with the National Christian College Athletic Association. Now, some people may be wondering what this is, but all the way up until 1998, there was the NCCAA National Championships. There's been some big hitters in terms of personalities and people may know, like the Hayeswinkle brothers, Jim Grunwald, um, Ben Peterson. So big names that have come out of that.
Real quick here, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but hate to interrupt you, but I think you would like to know this. Ben Peterson is who started the NCCAA national tournament. That was his idea. He was coaching at Maranatha Baptist in Wisconsin. And here's another really fun fact for you. I went to Northwestern College up in Orange City, Iowa for a while. Got to, I thought I knew everything there was to know about the wrestling program. And then I come across this NCCAA national tournament and find out he actually won that tournament 1 year. I can't remember what year it was, but Northwestern College won that tournament. And hell, nobody on my team, including the assistant coaches, had any idea.
I saw that earlier and I started looking up and I'm still trying to reconcile because I've had two different Northwestern colleges pop up. So there's the one in Orange City and there used to be one in Minnesota. So
St.
I'm
Paul.
st so I'm just like, okay. And as long as I've been with the GPAC conference doing stuff, yeah, I thought that would have came up or I would have seen it in the trophy case in Orange City. So it's interesting. The thing that a lot of people don't know is with the NCCAA, with the dual affiliations in other sports like volleyball, like track and field, where you have very individualized things, you can qualify for the NCCAA tournament. They still have those tournaments and yet still compete in the NAI. I live here in York, Nebraska. York, their track and field team went to the NCCAA track and field. They got NAIs this week. I think it's a good blend. There's already several schools that already have wrestling in the NAI. I think probably the most well known might be I think Campbellsville. But there's a lot of other great options out there in a bunch of states: Kentucky, Indiana, Missouri, Michigan, Kansas, Illinois, um, South Carolina. So I think that's the route I would go for my first pick.
So pick number two for JT number one. I would really like to see the University of British Columbia up in Vancouver get a program. I was always a really big fan when Simon Fraser was in the IA. Boy, they produced they produced some. They had a four-time NAIA national champion. They had guys that made the Olympics, guys that even won medals at the Olympic tournament. I really think, and don't get me wrong, I love Simon Fraser being an NCAA Division II school, and I follow them and support them as well. But I would really like to see the NAIA have another Canadian program. I think it'd be good for the NAIA, and I think it'd be, I think it's good for those Canadian kids to be able to wrestle more American style kids, and I think it helps them out and makes them better. So, I'm all for that. Love to see British Columbia jump on board.
Nice. Very, very, very good pick. And it's just right up there, just north of Washington. So I think that would give a lot of those Northwest American kids an opportunity too with a lot of deserts out there in terms of college opportunities. I'm gonna sneak in my number two, Crowley Ridge, Arkansas. It is way on the east part of the state. A big reason I'm going with this, there's been Williams Baptist several years ago brought home a trophy at the NAI tournament. I actually, it was funny on their website. I was in the back photo bombing, but that was cool. But I like Crowley Ridge for a few reasons. I believe there's seven conferences in the NAIA. Of the seven, five of them are within 7 hours or less, at least one member of Crowley Ridge, Arkansas. And when you put that in perspective, some people may like, oh, 7 hours though. Look at some conferences and other divisions. My alma mater, Central Oklahoma, in D2 has to drive up to Nebraska Kearney. That's at least 6.5, 7 hours. So, but they're 5.5 hours to the nearest Hart team, 4.5 to Mid South, 6.5 to the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference, 7 to Appalachian, and 6.5 to KCAC. I did leave out accidentally. There are 8. The Sooner.
Okay.
They're close to some Sooner teams too.
Okay. The American Midwest Conference Center, yeah.
Yep.
That gets confusing considering that they have the same tournament. That threw me out for a minute too when you said that.
Yeah.
Um, so so my number so now we're on a number three pick. I'm going to go with Bushnell and Eugene, Oregon. They're part of the Cascade Collegiate Conference. They just reinstated their baseball program here just a couple of years ago. They're doing pretty good in baseball. I think it'd be a great addition to mainly, the state of Oregon. Oregon has been hit hard by discontinuation, especially, we lost the Oregon Ducks a couple of years ago. I think that that area could really use a good wrestling program again, and I think Bushnell will be a great addition. They have some nearby teams so they can develop a feud with Corbin. I think that'd be a great feud if were to get started and developed. So that my number three pick is Bushnell.
All right, I'm going to go down south, specifically Savannah, Georgia, for a school called SCAD. It's the Savannah College of Arts and Design. Few nuances to this. I really like that it is kind of your non-typical college avenue where you have more opportunities for different things, arts, designs. There's a lot of opportunity out there outside of just your you know fit in a box kind of majors, and I think that might be attractive to people. Another major reason, and I got to looking at this, they are proven winners in other sports. Their women's soccer team was the national champion this year. Men and women's tennis team were ranked in the top 10. Their men's bowling team was second in the NAIA. Their men's swimming team, second in the NAIA. I don't think it's a fluke when you have that many winning programs that you have some good support. And so for that reason, I think Savannah College of Art and Design is a perfect type of fit. They're not quite there on Grandview level, but they're still up there in so many sports that I think it just makes sense.
What I really like about that is it allows, there's so many people in wrestling that kind of have this. You go off and you read their biographies, and, you know, what do you do? I hunt and I fish, I hunt and I fish. You get those kind of people all the time. But we do have athletes, men and women that enjoy kind of being outside. Hell, I was one of them. I started off as a theater major in college. I've done theater my entire life. I like to read, I like to write. So kind of outside the box a little bit. That's another reason why I really like that pick of yours, because it would allow kids that kind of want to go a different route and show that, you know, these things, like certain activities and certain mindsets mix more than what we give them credit for. So I think that's a great pick. My next pick would actually be I think one that you would like to probably be somewhat close to you to be able to go visit. I'm going to go with Peru State in Nebraska, a member of the Heart of America Athletic Association. At one time they did have a wrestling program, and they were fairly successful. They had All Americans. They had a NAIA national champion and Bud Froling. Um, and then, you're right there on the Iowa border, not too far from Iowa at all. And then you have, great recruiting in Nebraska. You could probably recruit from Kansas as well. It's really in a good spot. Because, southwestern Iowa has, you can speak to southeastern Nebraska, I'm sure, but southwestern Iowa has so many great programs down there. Council Bluffs, Lewis Central, Council Bluffs, Abraham Lincoln. You have Glenwood in Iowa. You have Shenandoah. So many great wrestlers that come from that area. And people, a lot of times, kids want to wrestle close to home. And that'd be another opportunity for them to do so. So my next pick is Peru State in Nebraska.
Boy, Peru State's an excellent one, and you do talk about those Iowa powerhouses. My wife is actually an alum of Shenandoah, so that was fun to hear that name. But like you also not really far away, Omaha. So you got Omaha Scott is a big powerhouse. I also want to say you're really not that far from the Kansas and Missouri borders either. So there's a big swath of, you go north of Kansas City that you could pull in a lot of things. And let's not forget also I know you've talked with this coach, but Terry Pack and Southeast Community College are really not that far away either. And boy, with what he's doing there, you could really steal some amazing people. So my pick for number four is I try to stay out of my home state a little bit, but I couldn't help this one. Southwestern Kansas. This is way down on the border with Oklahoma. It's probably a 3-minute drive and you're in Oklahoma. This is located in Winfield, Kansas. And a reason I really like this is for several years, Ark City, Kansas, which is home of County Community College, they won state titles every year, and they had one of the nation's longest winning streaks. The other thing with Southwestern, and a lot of people may not realize this, was several years ago, and it's probably been close to a decade now. They had a women's team, but it was only for about 2 or 3 years, and then it just kind of went away. Um, Southwestern to me is appealing because not only location, and they could get to a lot of opens and stuff with very minimal travel, they have 8 junior colleges that are within 5 hours drive time. And most of them are actually, no, sorry, 2.5 hours or less. So even better. But I mean, you're talking Neosho, Labette, Cowley, NOC Tonkawa, a new program. But powerhouses like Pratt and NEO are right there. To me, it's a no-brainer. Instant winner. Plus, you can snag some out of Oklahoma, even though they've got three. Or, no, they've got 4 JUCOs now down there. But Southwestern Kansas and Winfield is number 4.
You know, I really like what you said earlier. Want to elaborate on that a little bit about the idea of these junior colleges. I mean, not always. I mean, sometimes it's one of the things I talk with about. I've had a number of coaches at the NJCA level so far on JT1 Wrestle, and you do have kids sometimes they go to school for a 2-year degree and then they're good. But a lot of these kids they want to go on, they want to wrestle an extra, whatever. I mean, right now you have 2 years, but with this new law coming into effect, hell, they could have another 4 years after their NJCA career ends, and if they were more colleges nearby, they could create a pipeline, and that'd be great for both the NJCAA and the NAIA. So I really like you bringing that up. I thought that was a very, very solid point. Um, so for my next pick, I'm going to go with Culver Stockton in Canton, Missouri. Another member of the you can really tell I want to see more growth in the Heart of America Conference. Um, Culver Stockton is located. You're man, what, a 20-minute drive from Illinois, about 2-hour drive from Iowa. You can have the recruiting in Missouri. So, we have a lot of great talent all in the area. Um, Last year, we were told in February that Hannibal LaGrange was going to reinstate their wrestling program. I haven't heard anything about that since that time. I hope that one of these days we get some good news and find out that that is a reality. But then you also, so if Hannibal LaGrange were to reinstate, that gives me even more incentive to want to see Culver Stockton start up a program. And then you also have nearby, like I said, maybe it's a 20-25 minute drive over to NCAA Division II Quincy. So Culver Stockton, for those 3 reasons, you'd have some good recruiting with Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois nearby. You'd have, they'd be a part of a great conference in the Heart of America, and then they would have a lot of nearby programs. They could do a schedule that would easily be, like you said, 5 hours or less for every team that they dueled.
Yeah, excellent pick, and being in the heart too. I always we talk about the iron sharpens iron, Dan Gable quote. That Heart Conference is no joke because you're in there with Grandview, Central Methodist, Missouri Valley. Those are 3 just dynamite programs, both recent and historically. And you would definitely get, I think, some really good applicants for a coach that has drive and desire, and it could be a phenomenal team right away. So excellent pick. I'm going to go back to Georgia, and I'm going to go back to Georgia with another little outside the box school. How about Abraham Baldwin Ag College in Tifton, Georgia? Again, earlier I did the Savannah College of Art and Design, kind of the same realm here. I think there's a lot of individuals that are really wanting to go into things like ag business, other agricultural areas, with passages of different laws in different states about certain products you can legally or not legally do. There's a desire for that in business. But I like location. It is only an hour from the Florida border, and it's also an hour. Um, oh no, I see what I wrote. It's an hour to the Florida border. But they also have 50% of their grads from that school finish with zero debt. And some people may be like 50% isn't that great. When you look nationally, there's probably schools where 80% or higher have some sort of debt. For 50% to be without debt and to also give that twist of some outside the box majors and possibilities, Abraham Baldwin Ag College in Tifton, Georgia is my number 5.
Oh, next on the list for Johnny Thompson, number one, um, I'm going to go with Mount Mercy College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. They just started for the first ever time. I've driven up there. They built a brand new, beautiful football field. I mean, just gorgeous football field. They're gonna have their first game ever in the history of Mount Mercy Mustangs. Gonna have their first football game ever this fall. Sometime I believe I looked it up earlier, but I forgot to write it down. I think their first football game will be in August of 2025. Looking very forward to that. I think it's like the perfect spot for wrestling. I mean, again, going to go back to they would be a member of the Heart of America conference. And one of the things I talked with a wrestling coach from Waldorf, Brad Stockton, state champion, national 4-time NAIA All-American, 3-time NAIA finalist, and a national champion for Waldorf College. He was telling me how important it would be for a college in the area to have a great nursing program. And Mount Mercy has one of the best nursing programs in the state of Iowa. And you look at it, if a young man or a young woman wants to go to school for nursing, Iowa has a great nursing program. Not every single kid has the talent or ability to be able to be an Iowa Hawkeye. So giving these kids, these nearby kids, and think about it, this is wrestling country, right? You have all these Cedar Rapids schools, you have all the Iowa City schools, and then not too far away, you have the Quad Cities with Davenport and Bettendorf and Rock Island over on the other side. Always has a great wrestling program. And then to the north, right about an hour drive, you have all the Waterloo schools. You got Don Bosco, which is probably the most historic wrestling program in Iowa. They're about 45-minute drive. So I I don't know if I can pick a better school to add wrestling at than Mount Mercy. And the other thing you want to look at too for Mount Mercy, one of the reasons why they added a football program is they were down, I think, like 3.5 or 4% enrollment. So imagine how much, I mean, football is going to help. And I don't doubt that for a second, but imagine how much adding men and women's wrestling would help to alleviate that problem.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I'm glad you brought up the point about not everybody's Iowa material. And that's not a slight at all. There is definitely a place for everybody. I've even said I recruited a kid that was a 4-year JV kid. Bless his heart. He was a backup to a 2-time state champion all the way through uh, his junior year. Then he thought, all right, I'm going to be the guy. And there was a phenomenal wrestler named Atticus Disney who transferred into his school his senior year. And some may remember Atticus.
I remember Disney. Yeah.
Yeah, Disney started off originally at Minnesota, ended up out west at a school in California. But uh, yeah. So number 5 for me, kind of going off of that, that idea of I was not for everybody. I'm going out to Fisher College. It might be Fisher University, but Fisher in Massachusetts. And the reason I want to do this is based on a little bit of not greed, but experience. my experience going to the senior nationals to recruit that was a lot of kids would come up to us when I was coaching at Concordia of Nebraska, and we'd say we're NAIA, and they would turn around and say, "Oh, so are you D2?" No, we're NAIA. Oh, do you give scholarships? Yes. So you're not D3. Correct. And it was infuriating. But the part of the country that doesn't understand NAIA is Pennsylvania all the way through Maine. They don't have any wrestling programs, and basically there's only one or two NAI schools. I believe there's one in Maryland that I saw, and then you've got this one in Massachusetts. I really think that if you started up a program there, you don't have to, and the Sooner Athletic Conference is a key component in this next part I'm going to say, is you don't have to have guaranteed duels in conferences. The Sooner sure doesn't. So I think it allows individuals opportunity. They see that wrestling is wrestling. There's a lot of good opportunities to wrestle a lot of solid Division III teams, but to also realize, hey, scholarships are out there. And I would hope that it then maybe creates a snowball effect to where you may see some schools that are Division III or other divisions go, okay, maybe NAI is a good fit for us. I would have rather seen like American International College roll into NAI than just drop their program.
Yeah,
Would
I'm
be
gonna, because that's a whole other discussion right there.
Yep.
I'm with you 100% on that. Um, God, that just makes me sick thinking about them dropping their program, and that's that's the world we live in, isn't it? Though, I
It
mean, as
is.
a college wrestling fan, this is something that a college basketball fan and a college football fan will never have to deal with. But wrestling, it's the reason why I think we're all on edge all the time. It's such an emotional sport. It's like, holy cow. It's like, like you look through and you look at all the programs we're adding, it makes you happy, it fills your heart full of joy. And then all of a sudden you turn around and American International's done, Cleveland State is done, and you go from being happy to depressed and happy and depressed. So, well, you're hitting the nail on the head there. Um, for my last pick, I'm gonna sound like I'm repeating myself. I'm gonna be like, didn't he already talk about this? Didn't he already say this? I'm gonna go with Clark and Dubuque for the exact same reasons I'm going for Mount Mercy and Cedar Rapids. Could add another member to the Heart of America. Can you tell that I attend the Heart of America tournament in Oskaloosa every season? Can we tell that? Because
It's a good one to attend.
yeah, they're in Oskaloosa, right down by my hometown of Sigourney, about a 20-minute drive. Um, yeah, Clark for the same reason. Clark has a great nursing program. Clark is known for their academics, so kids can go there and get a great education while wrestling at the same time. So I'm not going to add a whole lot more to it because I already said what I had to say about Mount Mercy, and pretty much Clark fits the exact same criteria. But I would definitely like to see the Crusaders start up men and women's wrestling.
Nice, nice. I will say, we both doing 7 picks. I may revert back real quick to how we did number one and do a very quick hit and say it's a three-way tie for me on the 7. So the 3 schools that I'm going to put at 7: Xavier University in Louisiana, Ottawa, Arizona. And the reason why I like both of those, they have NCWA teams. They both have decent rosters. Ottawa, Arizona, because there is an Ottawa, Nebraska, or Kansas. Ottawa, Arizona on the women's side is phenomenal. They were, I believe, third in the country this year, but they do have good depth there. And then the other one I want to say is the Masters University out in California. I just like the name. It's pretty cool. I got to looking at stuff. And then I said, you know what's even cooler? This was awesome. They have a dorm, and the dorm is spelled Sweazy, just like how I spell my last name. And I'm like, well, hell, that sounds awesome. Plus, I'd go visit and just take photos in front of that dormitory or something, and maybe put up a fake plaque. They wouldn't know the difference, but just some of those. And then honorable mention real quick, Valley City State up in North Dakota. It's between Jamestown and North Dakota State. It's just 2 hours away from Bismarck, which is elevating from junior college to NAIA. And so just some quick hits there.
Here a couple of last week I had as a guest legendary Montana State Northern coach David Ray on the program, and he and I talked about Valley City State. They actually at one time, I've written about it. I don't know if you've seen the article or not, but just type in Johnny Thompson #1 Valley City State. I did a great article on them here not too long ago, Forgotten, Lost, and Forgotten. They had a really solid, good program. Why in the hell they ever dropped, I have no idea. I mean, he was telling me about back when he was coaching that they sold him, and they also had a great rivalry with Montana Western, who won an NAIA national championship in 1994, I believe. And then they dropped the program shortly after that. So, yeah, Valley City State would be a great program to have. I have a friend of mine that lives up in Bismarck, North Dakota. He what was the college that he went to? I think Minot State, I believe, is where he went. And he talked about how when he was going to he never wrestled for the team that he followed the program, and he said that the Valley City State, everyone was really, really shocked when that program discontinued. So I agree with you 100%. Love to see wrestling back there again.
Yeah, and some people may not know that longtime Minnesota Mankato coach was previously there, Jim Makovsky, and he's one of the most class act people. And so, yeah, I think it has a lot of promise potentially.
Well, Collegiate Wrestling fans, that's our opinions. Feel free to go into the comments and tell me where you would like to see NAIA Wrestling either started for the first time or reinstated. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear your opinions. I want to thank Aaron, the Swayze, for once again being on the program today. We're going to have him back on again sometime to talk some more NAIA Wrestling, and I'm sure he can talk about every other division as well.
Thanks for having me.